Hey everybody, it's Katie. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I was watching Graveyard Girl's channel. She's one of my favorite YouTube bloggers, and she does these paranormal sections of her vlog. And for those of you who don't know, I'm very, very obsessed with the paranormal and the supernatural and that type of thing. But I wanted to take this time to tell you guys about a paranormal story or one of my paranormal experiences. So I'm just going to jump into it because it's going to be kind of a longer story. Okay, so my great aunt, lived in New Brunswick, and this is just a province on the east coast of Canada. And she lived in very, very rural country, and she had this gorgeous old farmhouse and estate. So she had the house part, and then there was the barn, and it was down by a lake. Now, my mom said when she was a kid, and she used to go there, because it's her aunt, her and her sister would just really think weird things would happen. Lights would turn on, candles would blow out, or sometimes relight. My mom said that sometimes candles would be it was totally like hocus pocus, lighting the black candle, just a gush of wind would come and the candle would ignite all by itself. But when I went there for the first time, my mom was like, all right, we got to tell you about Martha. I probably went there for the first time when I was about 8 or 9. Maybe 10. I actually think I was 10 years old. It was the summer of when I was 10. My mom and my cousin, Jolene, were like, all right, we have to tell you about Martha. Martha was the former, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, was the late owner of the estate, and her husband had passed away when she was very young, so she inherited the estate, or maybe it was a family property. I'm not really sure about that part, but Martha lived there, and something happened where she died untimely. My mom says it was a fall down the stairs. My great aunt said that she was murdered, and so on and so forth. There's various different conspiracies about what happened there. So my mom was like, we gotta tell you about Martha. Martha apparently has been seen walking the halls. She's just a very playful spirit. If she likes you, you have the best sleep of your life when you're there. If not, Martha doesn't let you sleep. So, an example, when my stepfather went there with my mom for the first time, his car kept turning on outside, the automatic starter. The doors of the car opened and all the alarms were going off in the middle of the night, so he would have to go out, turn it off, come back in. As soon as he would lay down back to sleep again, that would go off. His watch was found on one side of the house, when he had left it, in his bag. His clothes just everywhere. So that was, I was like, okay, really interesting. 10 years old, you're like, ghosts! So it's exciting. So I was staying there, and I, woke up at 3 in the morning. I really had to use the washroom. And I walked out to the hall, and I was really tired, and I tell my mom this, and they, my mom and my aunt and my great aunt, couldn't believe that, I had my first Martha experience, so they were really excited about this. So I walk out to the bathroom, and I'm, walking down the hall, and I hadn't really been there before, because, I don't really know my great aunt that well, so I was just really tired, and this woman was in the hallway, and she's like, oh, honey, the bathroom's on the right. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, totally not thinking, just woke up, really in a daze. And then I went into the bathroom, and then I came back out to look in the hallway, and she was gone. So my mom and my aunt, and my great aunt, who's now my late great aunt, think that was my first Martha experience, which was really cool. But the bigger paranormal story about this estate was, it's very close to a lake, and it's right in the heart of, in Canada, it wasn't really common to have, an African-American slave, or, we were very anti-slave, movement, during what was happening in the Civil War in the South and in the States and stuff. We didn't partake in slavery, but a lot of houses did have native servants, or sometimes farm hands and helpers, and they would live in the house. Now, I don't know what the truth is about this, because like I said, my great aunt never told me this, and my mom didn't. It was my actual aunt, my mom's sister, who told me this, but I don't know if they were willingly working there or what it was, but when my aunt was about 14, 15, she was staying with my great aunt, and she was sleeping, and she had this dream about, like, tunnels, people crawling through tunnels, or walking through tunnels under the house, like, and she said she was seeing through the eyes of one of them, and it was just, like, natives, like, I'm natives, part, my dad is, so, but, like, natives, like, carrying water, and carrying buckets of water, and, like, with torches, and so these would have to be, like, pretty big tunnels to be able to walk through them. Historically, natives, like, Canadian natives, are very tall people. So, the next morning, my aunt tells my great aunt, she's like, look, like, I had the strangest dreams last night, and she was like, huh, like, I wonder what that, like, means. Sure enough, that day later, my aunt was playing out in the front yard, or, like, just talking to my mom, and the ground in my Nona's front yard started to sink in, and sure enough, it was just, like, an underground, like, not a sinkhole, but, like, a former structure that had, like, left a gap in between the lawn, and the lawn caved into, like this sort of shape. So, like, while they're doing the reconstruction and stuff, my aunt Nona, like, called, or my great aunt called a, like, landscaper to come in and fix it. She didn't really know what was going on. Then, when they were doing all this construction, the native chief of the area of the remaining tribe, I think it's, like, Micmac or something. I know my dad's people are Iroquois, and that's, like, further down, like, Ontario way, but, the native chief for the area came, and this would have been in, like, the late 70s, early 80s, I would say, like, yeah, early to mid 80s that this would have happened, and he came down, and he was like, oh, hi, like, just talking to my Nona and stuff, and, that's what we called her, my great aunt, my Nona, and he explained to her that her property used to employ the family beforehand, Martha, his family used to employ natives to work and live in the house as kind of like boarders and like maids and farmhands and stuff. And there were tunnels underneath the old house that would go down to the lake, and then that's where they would, like, you know, like, bring up water for the house and stuff through the tunnels. And he explained that to her. It's just so crazy that my aunt had, like, no previous knowledge of that, my mom's sister, yet she had the dream about the tunnels being used. So that was my first real, well, my mom says I used to see things when I was a kid. I live in a city called Halifax, and for those of you who don't know, back in, like, I actually don't know what the year is. That's horrible. But December 5th, I think it was, like, 1916 rings a bell, maybe. This is a shame. I should probably know this. There was a Norwegian ship in the harbor, like, a very vast harbor that, like, in the city that I live in, a container ship containing, like, explosives and stuff, and it collided with another ship, and that was what caused the Halifax explosion. So, like, thousands of lives were lost, like, homes destroyed, like, it literally flattened the area for, like, a, 10, 15-mile radius. And my dad's parents, my dad's grandparents, or great-grandparents, who lived on the other side of, like, the province, at the very far end of the province, said that they could hear the boom the day it happened. So that's, like, crazy. But my great-grandmother, she used to have a house right on the waterfront, farther down in this place called Purcell's Cove. And up in the back of the woods a little bit, from her house, like, where I would play, there was this abandoned foundation, and it was, like, stone brick, like, no higher than, like, 2 feet of foundation left, and, that was a home that was destroyed by the Halifax explosion. My mom says when I was a kid, I used to go up there a lot, and I would just play for hours by myself, and I would come down and be like, oh, I was playing with, like, this little girl, I don't remember, I think I kept calling her Skylar, maybe, or Henrietta, it was, like, one of the two names, and I would play in the foundation. I'd be like, oh, I wasn't playing alone. Like, I was playing with Henrietta. I was, like, playing with Skylar. And Mom was like, Okay, and sure enough, my great-grandmother and my mom did the research and found out that that family had unfortunately died in the Halifax explosion. And so my mom thinks that was like my first paranormal experience. But I hope you guys like paranormal experiences and ghost stories. I have plenty more of like what I've experienced. If this type of video interests anybody, like just message me and I'll make another one because I honestly have like 1,000 more stories. So yeah. Thanks for watching my videos and my channel, whoever's watching, the two of you. Alright, okay, bye.